You awaken in a cold sweat. Your heart races and your breath quickens. It's 3 a.m. and you're not alone. Something lurks in the corner of the room, and it's darker than the night.
You're deep in the woods, enjoying a family camping trip. Marshmallows roast and laughs are shared until something screams from behind the ridge. It's neither human nor animal, but something in between. You can't see it, but it sees you.
You're driving down a dark, lonely road, singing along to your favorite song, when something dressed in white crosses your path. You swerve to an immediate stop and check your rearview mirror, but nothing's there.
The people are real, and the stories are legend.
The problem is that legends are often riddled in myth.
We uncover the truth. Tune in to Paratruth Radio every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on newlanternmedia.com and anywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome to Paranormal Heart, a place where people can talk about their paranormal experiences. With your host, Kat Ward.
Welcome back, folks, to Paranormal Heart. I'm your host, Kat Ward. You can find new episodes on the second and last Sunday of each month on Podbean, YouTube, New Lantern Media, and any place you find podcasts. If you've had paranormal encounters you'd like to share, you can either be a guest on the show, or you can submit them in writing and I'll be happy to narrate your story. Just drop me an email at paranormalheart13@gmail.com. This episode's shout-out goes to my beautiful listeners in Colombia. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to the show, and much love to you all. In episode 60, my special guest is Canadian Haunting and Paranormal Society, or CHAPS, founder Dave Gibb. Dave has been investigating since 1994 and formally formed CHAPS in 2005. Raised in the Spiritualist church, he has ties to that world, but has chosen to rely on the more pragmatic style of research. Use of logic. Dave has led the team on hundreds of investigations with numerous team partnerships including across Ontario, Northeast and Mid-United States, and overseas. Since 2008, CHAPS has been a proud TAPS family member. I introduce to you Dave Gibb. Hey Dave, welcome to Paranormal Heart.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I'm glad that we're able to finally make this happen. Like the listeners know, there's always some kind of a tech issue going on, and this is the second attempt, I think? Or
Second
third?
Yeah. Third. Yeah, I think it's the third attempt, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like I said before, paranormal podcasts always seem to have troubles like that. But we finally made it. So, for those of you who don't know Dave, he has a great team called CHAPS. So if you wanted to start talking about your team and what you guys do, where you're located, and we'll just take it from there.
Okay, well, I mean, the Canadian Haunting and Paranormal Society, we founded it in 2005, was founded in Pembroke. The first number of years we ran it, it was out of the Ottawa Valley, and then I moved down to the Toronto area, so I opened up my office down here. Both still exist, both still active as long as COVID allows at this point in time. But we just celebrated our 16th anniversary a couple days ago.
I saw that. Happy anniversary!
Yeah, it's awesome that we've been able to make it so far. Generally speaking, we do cover Well, we used to do a lot more in southwestern Ontario, but I might refer some of those cases, but we generally do Ontario and the northeastern seaboard, the United States, to some of the Midwest, depending on travel. We do when the borders were open, we'd travel a number of times down to the United States to investigate out of Illinois, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia. Meeting up with the other CHAPS family teams. We are a member of the CHAPS family, which does kind of allow us a little bit of access in some places, and certainly a bevy of teams that we can cross mingle with. That's been a highlight of the last 16 years, being able to. I really put a lot of emphasis on co-investigative efforts, collaborative efforts with other teams. Certainly you can find, by working with teams around your area who may have less than or better than or whatever methodology, whether that turns out to be a possible coaching opportunity or certainly where you a learning opportunity. We've handled I think we're just in excess of 500 cases at this point in time. I know that we've got about 300 videos on YouTube of them, so and have had good luck in the way that we've gone overseas to meet with other teams as well. When I was the international director for TAPS, we met and traveled to meet the teams all across the United States and overseas. So it's let's just say it was incredibly busy until COVID shut all this stuff down.
I would imagine. Blasted COVID. Go ahead.
I say we were averaging about 72 cases a year.
Wow.
And now it's like 6
in
the last 2.
Wow. Oh, yeah. COVID's pretty much put a kibosh on everything. Mm-hmm. How different is it investigating in other countries compared to your home province and country?
Well, I guess it all depends on the team that you're with. I mean, when we investigate in the United States, which is generally the other end of it, we go down there we're not really going down there for residential, we're going down there for the commercial properties. That can change. Like that's such a broad spectrum. And the teams down there, like, I guess maybe because we're traveling to go to work with a team, I kind of want to vet them first so that I'm not showing up for a gong show. So generally it's a good technical one. I know that, say, when we investigate in Ohio, or say we did some investigations down in Arkansas and Oklahoma and Kansas, the teams that we know down there are very much like us. They're pragmatists. I don't deal with teams that have a lot of mediums in that noise. That's not because I don't like mediums. It's just they're more practical. And then, say, when we go down to Virginia, we were working with CPRI. They're actually scientists. So it was a big shock for us, because they were the ones saying to us, "What are you doing?" Because we were going in. We were. For example, we were investigating Bacon's Castle. It's like one of the oldest castle type structure, I guess. I don't know what they said, but it's in the United States. It used to be a plantation, and I went in to do an EVP session, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And I'm going in to do an EVP session, but they do most of their work by data loggers. Like, they have, I'll probably tell you, probably 60 DVR cameras going, and they've probably got 30 data loggers in the building that are doing all the stuff the EDI does plus, and that's how they measure things. They measure things based off of magnetic trends and whatever. Now I think they're doing a bit of the EVP sessions work now that they saw us do it. I think. So it's different. Overseas, obviously you're going into much more historic properties. And a lot of it can't be touched the same way, and they're very technical, and when we see them do it in the UK, like with Most Haunted, they're very, very dramatic. But the teams I've met over there aren't dramatic. They're quite technical. Any team that's, put it this way, any team that's maybe large enough that another team across the world can hear about you, probably has some methodology behind them. It's normally the team that's been around for 6 months that are just getting their feet wet. Well, look, we started off that way too, right? I mean, when I started things in 2005, we were still getting freaked out because the first time you'd ever really use night vision. And then, you see orbs and you're like, holy crap. And then, every noise was amazing. And we were investigating our own barns and all that kind of stuff. Things were more dramatic at the time. And there's a part of me that kind of misses the reaction even I would have to things.
Yeah.
Even though I've been investigating for 10 years prior to that. But it was such a barrage that was coming at us. Only fortunately that, within a few investigations, you kind of started experimenting with things to create these optical effects so that, I know by the time we had done, I think we were doing a pub down in Ashton, and we created a bunch of orbs up in the attic. And, that was like your defining moment as a team, and kind of went, okay, all right, never mind. I'm pretty skeptical when it comes to video and pictorial evidence. I've got about 3,000 pictures on my website, and I've never taken a paranormal picture. Never. To me, pictures are documenting what it looked like, and really to put on the Facebook page for people to see what we're doing. It's, and video, we don't really use to catch evidence. We use it to debunk. Like we film in that third person, so we're filming the actual session being held, so that when you hear that, whatever noise it might be, you can see the person's mouth or that second thought that, oh wait, that was actually their stomach growling or whatever. I focus obviously on majority is audio.
Like I said before we started recording, the first time I met you was, I forget the year, you had your first CHAPS public investigation at the Champlain Trail Museum, and you guys were blown away because there was 98 of us that showed up. And you're like, holy crap, how are we not going to contaminate evidence with 98 people plus the team? So you had to split us up in 4 teams. And I wasn't a member of any team at the time. A friend of mine that I was working with told me what you guys were doing, and I'm like, oh yeah, of course, I watched Most Haunted and everything. And I was like, yep, gotta go. So I went with one of my coworkers and her husband, and I have to say, I kind of, because of you, implement this when I investigate now, because I really liked how you were explaining to everyone about know your equipment, know what it can do. These are not ghost detecting pieces of equipment. These are like EMF. It's not a ghost detector, it's an EMF detector, things like that. And I thought, wow, it's, I knew it wasn't, the real thing wasn't like the TV shows, but I really didn't know. So you gave a great, you educated everyone, and I really, really liked your approach to investigating, and everything that goes bump in the night isn't necessarily paranormal, No. And I really like that. Like, look further. Whatever your evidence that you're getting, okay, you're getting some hits on your equipment, but look further. Like, why are you getting these hits? So, like I said, I'm still learning a lot, even with the team that I'm now, and I've learned a lot with them. But the basics, I think, I learned from you, and thank you for that. You're not full of BS. You're knowledgeable, and I really like that. So, and I have to tell you a little piece of a little tidbit here. My friend and I, the team that we were with, we were in the schoolhouse at the time, and everybody was going around asking questions, taking our turns with doing an EVP session. And for whatever reason, my friend's husband, when it came to everybody was asking the same questions. Do you know you're dead? Things like that. not my friend's husband. He says, "Do you like pie?" You could have heard a ghost fart, I think, because nobody said a word. Nobody moved. We couldn't look at anybody because we would have just started laughing. For whatever reason, that I still ask that question sometimes. So once we when we left the building, everybody starts to laugh, right? It's like we're trying so hard. It's like, don't look at anybody, don't look at anybody. And when we got in the car, the tears were rolling. Like it was so funny.
Yeah.
But no, that was really. I had really enjoyed that. It was and then obviously I got into it after that. So.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because it's oddly that the questions that are off the mark are really kind of the ones that are going to incite something. If we've gone to think about the spirit as being what we are, or whatever, by a past, then the whole standard 10 questions you're going to ask, which you've got to ask anyway. But they kind of want conversation, which is we catch most of our EVP. That we've gotten most times is as a result of just, okay, you know what, we're just gonna put the Zoom down for a second and we're just gonna take a break. That's when we get it, because it's like they want to join in on regular conversation. You know what? You kind of got to ask because it's like controlled conditioning. You kind of got to ask the questions.
Yeah.
But I rarely ever get answers off of it, frankly. And you got to tickle and play with different things. Like, right now I'm working with tone generation, working with different sounds that might spark it, working on a responsive haunt where it's coming at a certain level of sound or something. Keep on experimenting and frankly using different people to talk because they might just not like you.
Yep.
And there's times when I'll have my wife talk because maybe they don't want to hear a male voice. Sometimes, I've had investigations where we had an investigation where it was supposed to have been a distraught child. And there was 2 autistic children that lived in the home. So it was creating quite a maelstrom. And I brought at the time, Fiona was about 13 at the time. I brought her. Now, Fiona had her problems when she was younger, so I thought this really was a key vibe, a key trigger, like a live trigger. You're gonna bring somebody who could actually talk to them eye to eye. If I'm talking to another child, here I'm a child. I got a bit of flack on that one for using a kid, but my kids grew up with it. But you kind of got to do what you got to do. It's like trigger objects. Sometimes they do. Boo Bear is the single most expensive teddy bear on the planet. I would spend $170 on a bear. But I got to be honest with you, I've had probably 5 or 6 investigations where it has spurned a response. Now that being said, I find it humorous, however, when people believe that the Boo Bear is talking to them as an investigator. You have to re-explain that. No, these are just random words that are coming out of this thing's mouth. It's not talking to you. But I do see that sometimes on the show. I've seen a show where they've used Boo Bear and, the investigator's having a conversation with a stuffed animal. And I'm like, no, with a trigger object, set it up and then leave. Put your audio and your video on and go outside. Have a cigarette, drink a beer, whatever. Well, not a beer, that's during investigation, but have a coffee. Let it do its job, right? And that's what they do. You got to have that quiet time too. Let the trigger object work. And it's happened a couple times for me. It's not really overly scientific, but there's a trend that I've had a few investigations that have been a much more different outcome, just simply because I've got something there that possibly it's responding to. Whether it's because we're not there, I don't know. But we've got one investigation. We've done this home probably 7 times now, and there was a child that was murdered there, like 7 years ago, and the Boo Bear, counting 1, 2, 3, and then we got 4. Well, it doesn't go to 4.
Wow.
And that same investigation, we were playing a mock game of hide and seek. We thought this is a child that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So, Phil, he's one of my investigators, is very animated. And he's, I'm coming up to get you. I'm coming up to get you. And what we got on the audio was, can't find me.
That's awesome.
And we had it placed right where a set of drapes was and all that. So maybe it was, I don't know. But, we've consistently gotten audio results of like a 1A classification, multisyllabic, and has everything to do with what the case was. And I think that's, and I'm dribbling on, but I think that's one thing some people need to think about when they're collecting audio evidence is how much relevance does what you're getting in audio mean to the case? Is it clear? Do you have to expunge it? Do you have to clean it up? Or can you just hear it? Is it multi-syllable? Or is it just a scurfing noise, which could really be anything? And does it have relevance, right? So, this particular case, it was a child. He was, he was under 10, and he was murdered by his babysitter. And it's an interesting case because it's a culture divide case too. The young child was black. The father in the family is black. Everybody else is white. The only person in the family that gets any like scares of communication is the father. So of course we have to look in now. Is this now because there's a correlation that this young child might see somebody that looks like him, right, as opposed to everybody else? And is this why? You know what? I don't know. But like it was so interesting that all the responses we're getting were of a child, and of a child that was responding exactly to what we were asking and acting like a child, right? So, we've been back there a number of times. We'll go back once all this is done. We'll be investigating there as long as they're there. Much like when we investigated Ashmore Estates in the States. It was a poorhouse. There was a young child. Robin Terry has done an amazing job of documenting stuff there and actually has the newspaper articles available for you. There was a child that died there, did catch fire, her dress caught fire, and this location, probably one of the top 3 places we've ever done, is like it's in the middle of a farmer's field. It is nowhere near nothing. And when you investigate there, you rent the building for a couple of days at a time, and he's got cabins out there. So you show up on a Thursday, you investigate Sunday, you're there 24 hours a day, right? And it's great. But like we were getting like children yelling back and forth at each other at 2 o'clock in the morning. We were getting a piano being played.
Was there a piano there? Oh, wow.
There is a piano. No, there is a piano there, but the audio we were getting was in the room that the piano actually was in. Like the piano was in one room for display, but the audio for the piano playing was in another room where the piano actually existed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, superb place.
That's amazing.
So I digress. Keep going.
No, you're doing great. Where are you there's a lot of people that believe that you should ask questions in different languages depending where you're investigating. Do you feel that they can understand any language, or does it help actually speaking, say, German if there's a big German population around?
Well, yeah, that's got a couple sides to it as far as I'm concerned. One is I don't know if they're just responding to your energy, so it could just be babblefish and then they give you words. Two, definitely we have, like we go into work, we have French-speaking people on our team that will do it in French. Matter of fact, one of our guys does speak some German and would do that. Most of our investigations have been in mostly Anglo areas as far as language goes. But I think that it definitely would help the situation to have somebody that would speak the language. That's why I do find, look, I mean, like, I know when they do all the international shows, and they're investigating Dracula's castle. Maybe, maybe, if you've passed on to the great beyond, you do have a good translator in your head. It's possible. Language, maybe it doesn't matter that much then. But in the same respect, I would think if you were speaking Romanian or whatever, would be better and translated. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most haunted went and did a whole bunch of stuff in castles in Germany and Austria and all that. And I'm thinking, well, you probably should have a native speaker, a native tongue around here. And even then, if you think about it, who they're trying to talk to, or even like when they're in, the close or in any cottage, castle in England, they're talking in today's modern English.
Yes.
Now, you're talking English 500 years ago.
Way different.
I mean, it's like taking 10 different generations of French. I mean, they're different. You know, are you speaking like an Acadian French, or Creole kind of like slang, whatever. So that's why you've also got to fill this with other kinds of experiments that you can draw trends from. You know, whether that be, if there's a trend of EMF coming from a place that doesn't show it, I don't know. Creating stimuli to see if you at least get some kind of responsive reaction. I know when we were investigating, I'm not a big fan of REM pods. Let's start that one off there. Don't like K2s, don't like REM pods, but I understand that they're easy for some kind of immediate response that you can investigate further into it. And sometimes you need to have something that gives you a quick. And those are what that are. I just think that they're too expensive for what they are. They're created for ghost hunting crowds, and I'm a totally different topic matter when it comes to those that create devices. That's like the guys in the States. Anyway, we were at Shawshank. We were at Shawshank prison up here, Ohio Reformatory, and there was a cell where generally a guy had been set on fire. He was denied parole or some noise like that. I'm still kind of questioning that because the Mansfield Institution wasn't necessarily place you would go for life. But regardless, there was a gentleman that set himself on fire. So we were down there with the Correctional Officers Paranormal Society. We were down there with Wes and a lot of guys from COPS. Awesome because we're in a prison with prison guards.
Wes is a great guy.
Wes is a superb guy.
Yeah.
We had put a thermal camera in that room along with a REM pod and audio and video. But we didn't want to be near it because there's lots of metal and stuff that your body's going to reflect heat off of. So we went about 20 cells down and we were yelling. I had Wes do the yelling because he's a big mofo and he can holler with the best of them. You answer me, and whatever, and all of a sudden, it was going off, the REM pod. Say, turn that off, it would stop. Turn it back on, it would go. And we had recorded thermal increase on the steel bed that was in there. It went from having no signature, a green, to a red.
Wow.
And luckily speaking, we were, 70 feet away from it. Just didn't mire it up. So obviously, if we're not going to get words, we need to use our noggins and try experiments. Not all experiments are going to work, and I have to realize that there are toys I don't like. I'm not a big fan of the SLS, STS, Xbox, whatever we want to call it. If I see another person with a little door hanger person up in the corner when it's really just recognizing a door, or a little bug that's sitting on a table that they say is waving to you, I'll lose my mind. But I do understand that there's a necessity to test these devices so that you can understand for yourself what it is. I had an SLS built for me so that I could beta test it, and I used it on 200 investigations.
Wow.
So that I could develop an actual opinion based on using it, right? And after 200 investigations, I got nothing of any real evidence. When people use the mobile ones, also if they have to understand that the algorithm and it works, but you've got a IR sensor light that's weeble wobbling back and forth 100 times a second, and you're moving around, it's just looking for stuff to pick up to recognize as a human body. It's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It recognizes human body parts so that, so if you move it around the room and it goes across a table leg, it's going to earmark that. And the problem is that I could be wrong, but 85% of the time, that's what the case is. So am I going to use a device that only 15% of the time would it work? In a time of vaccines, if they said to you this vaccine is only going to work 2% of the time, you're not going to use it. Hence the orb argument, right? 99% of orbs, there could be that 1% that is real, but are you really going to base an investigation on a 1% chance that possibly could be? Same way I feel about some of these toys. But you still got to go out and you got to go out and play with them. I've played with the spirit box. I've played with all that. It's just not my gig. I guess maybe I'm over it. I guess maybe that. Oh no, my battery's dying.
No.
hold on. I still got 20%. I've still got 20%. I know that people need to learn and use those devices and get it. It's unfortunate when they base an entire investigation off of it. That scares me. Without anything else credible. So yeah. There, I just went on a crazy tangent again. This is going to be a great show.
That's fine. This is great.
Have me bippling on about stuff. I'm getting old, I just turned 50, so it's like, I'm that old man that's yelling at the clouds for being clouds.
Well, I'm older than you, so.
Well, then you understand.
Get off my lawn. So what piece of equipment or toy, as you refer to, do you really like and have been successful getting credible evidence?
Out of 26 years myself investigating, my best toy? Jesus, that's a tough gig. Toys, none. I like my proximity panels. They're kind of nice. They're high-end, basically a high-end detector, but they've never really given me any results. I just got to go to audio. That's it. You know what? I like my Zoom. I like my Zoom. I like my Tascam.
Nice.
And I like my video camera and your wits, right? You know what? Really, anything you need for an investigation should be able to fit into a shoulder bag. It really, and true. I mean, it's hard to take a team of people and only have a shoulder bag of equipment because somebody wants to hold something. But my EMF detector, I've picked up some interesting anomalies, but a lot of that stuff to break down. EDI plus, I like seeing the trends, but it's still, again, not something that's really given me anything. Yeah, I got to be honest with you, Kat. I can't say that a toy. Okay, I'm gonna say just a trigger object,
sure.
like a Boo Bear or a pair of cat balls or whatever. Have given me maybe a little bit of joy. My last investigation, I had a cat ball go from a static position to across the bed. That was kind of neat. I like that.
Nice. Yeah. I actually have a little dingly cat ball at my work because I feel there is a cat at my workplace. And when I mentioned to my coworkers, who they all know me, they know what I'm into, and I said, "Have you guys ever seen anything weird?" And they were talking about shadows, and it's about cat size, And so I said, well, I'd like to bring a cat toy in one of these days just to see if that's going to trigger anything. Not yet, but I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping when we least expect it.
Cats can be jerks anyway, so it probably is not doing it just to bother you.
Yeah, exactly. I have 3 of them, so yeah. If there's a piece of equipment that you feel should be created, what do you think it should be looking for? Like, some people want to be able to see, have funky glasses so they can see in different spectrums. Oh, I just hit my mic, sorry. Is there a piece of equipment you'd like to see someone invent?
I'm not that smart.
Nor am I.
Maybe I'm so hell bent for the ones I've got.
Yeah.
I think Jesus. I mean, just better and better audio, better, easier to use data logging. Kat, you got me stumped on that.
Wow, I've stumped you.
I'm not as smart as I think I am.
I am. I feel so great now that I stumped you. Have you ever?
I think honestly, I am just such a believer in the audio. That it's almost like, to me, it's the perfect tool. So.
I recently started using, I used to be a ham radio operator, and I have a little bit of Morse keys for a little collection. And a friend of mine mentioned how her team, they actually use Morse keys on investigations. And I thought, oh my God, that's brilliant. So we used it on one. I didn't get anything. Do you have any tools like that? Dowsing rods or old recorders, reel to reel or anything like that?
I'm trying to get a decent, just a tabletop audio, because I'd like to do some analog work. Again, I've done it in the past. Obviously, it's how I started, but I'd like to do it again. I think that the dowsing rods. There's a video I did on dowsing rods. Dowsing rods are interesting until you kind of got to think about the autocratic body movement.
I've actually never seen dowsing rods.
I like some of the old school stuff. I miss watching when the TV used to go static and you'd record it and stop it. That was like 27 years ago for me. But you know what? It gave me a different kind of joy at that time. Which sometimes, as an experienced investigator, once you start writing things off, that's something. I wish maybe there was a secret pill I could take. It would make me lose my mind excited over hearing a knock on the wall again, because now you're so busy writing things off that you don't. You go to an investigation phase is gone. 4 hours later, you're like, yeah, well, nothing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you go back to your audio and all of a sudden you've got 19 hits on your machine, it's maybe that would be the device I would like. That would the device that would make me freak out again, because that's what I want. I want to go to an investigation and I want something to scare me absolutely bonkers.
You've done it now. They're listening. They're going to try.
Oh, please.
You have to let me know if it happens.
I will.
Have you ever had any, let's see how I can word this. The dreaded D word, where people think everything's demonic. Have you ever had any investigations?
No.
Yeah.
Nope. Never had a demonic case.
No.
Don't believe. I don't prescribe to it personally. I think in order for that, I'm non-sectarian. I don't know, whatever you call that. I grew up spiritualist, but I got to see a lot of the bad side of that, so it kind of pinned me against it. And frankly, no. I've when we were doing Waverly Hills, I remember we were doing the tour around Waverly Hills. You would have thought we were going to have a fight with the ghosty Hulk Hogan going on in there. And you know what? It was my wife, who's an investigator, she has no feelings. I'm not. She's sitting behind me. I shouldn't say she doesn't have any feelings. But when we she has no feelings when you investigate. She took off and she went downstairs and got into the morgue trays and went to sleep.
No way.
And she slept down there for 3 hours. You know what I mean? That's how much stuff is going on there. So unfortunately, no, I just don't ever seem to get that. Nor do I get the grumpy maintenance man that's in every building, the nurse that commits suicide in every single hospital, the doctor that killed somebody in every hospital, the tall, thin person in every single mental hospital. Every place that exists that you rent all seem to have the exact same claim and stock character that they pull out of a book to put into there. But nobody ever seems to be able to back up that fact. And there always seems to be an autopsy room. That's something that's a personal pet peeve of mine. If you're going into an old folks' home, there's not a bloody autopsy room. They don't do autopsies in old folks' homes. All right, but
it could be a secret room. Come on.
I'll take that back. But no demonic, nothing demonic. Nothing has ever come out and bit me. I've never.
Good.
I had a coffin lid fall off in front of me once. That was as scared as I've ever been, and that was in Smith Falls.
Oh wow!
At the Heritage Manor, yeah, they were doing an exhibit of a funeral, and they had all that devices. And I was at that point in time starting to work down towards becoming a funeral director, and I didn't end up going that path. But I thought, you know what, this would be the perfect place. I'll do a solo here. I sent everybody outside to sit by the cars, and there's a basket that they would carry the yucky bodies in. And I felt it go past my face, and I said, well, that's kind of neat. So I sat down on the couch and I felt a depression next to my hip. And I'm like, that's really neat. I said, okay, so show me something here that you're with me. And the lid fell off the coffin. So I actually bolted out of the room, dislocated my shoulder on the frame.
Oh,
But of course, I ran, even though I tell everybody else not to run. I ran. Ironically enough, the DVR didn't work that night, so it didn't catch me doing it.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
That
well, it's
sucks.
okay. I don't mind that. My wife is the technical lead on the team, so she probably just didn't set it up right. That's what I'm saying.
Blame her.
I will. But that was that demon moment. But I think it was probably just sitting on it too lightly.
What would you give as a piece of advice to people who want to start investigating the paranormal, if any?
Oh, wow. Watch my series on YouTube. Probably, I want people, when they get together on a team, to be as pragmatic and focus on the basics. That's obviously first piece of advice. Like, stop listening to TV shows for your training. Understand that drama is going to occur. Don't think there's almost like forwarding. I remember when Wes Coleman was sitting down with me talking about when he was forming CHAPS, and I was giving him some advice at a donut shop in Trenton. And I said to him, dude, understand something. You're going to have drama. The 4 people that are with you right now aren't always going to be the coolest 4 people you're with. You have to have a leadership position. You have to have somebody who does this and this. Not everybody can be in charge. The whole team can't all be equals. It's just not plausible. I only say that because I'm a type A management type, but it's true. It's going to happen. And whether you like it or not, there's going to be competition between some teams too. You're going to grow as a team, and you're going to see other teams that make your head shudder. Sometimes even then they've been around longer than you. So I could give 100 pieces of advice. I couldn't give one single piece because there's so many avenues you got to go down when you talk about doing this. In this research. And don't make it that only one person. Like, don't do all the damn work yourself. No offense, most teams generally have about 2 people that do all the work. Everybody shows up for the cool investigation. But when it comes to actually doing all the research and all the evidence review, well,
Oof, they're gone.
You
have a ghost
let's
team.
get silly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just had another question, and it just, poof, gone.
We had such an amazing conversation, it's erasing your brain.
I think so.
Thank you.
It's the age, it's catching up to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that.
So why don't you tell, because I think how's your battery going right now?
Like at about 6%.
Okay, we'll wrap it up then. So why don't you tell the listeners where they can find any of your videos, how they can contact your team?
We're real easy. If you go on Instagram, you'll find, just look up CHAPS Paranormal, all one word, CHAPS, just like the leather things you wear without the butt. Go on YouTube, look up CHAPS Paranormal, look up CHAPS Paranormal on Google, you'll find our website, chapsparanormal.com. I know on Twitter blatched me somewhere, so now it's CHAPS Paranormal Dave, but if you look up CHAPS Paranormal, you'll still get my old YouTube, Twitter going on, but I'm using a different handle on Twitter. And I think that's it. I think we've leveled it off. I think I might be on Reddit as CHAPS Paranormal as well, but okay. I'm just not popular enough there yet.
Yeah, I'm on Reddit too, but I think you need to have more demons content for Reddit.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I need to be tall and muscular and slick my hair back. And I can now start wearing well, I guess if you think about it, Zach's got things years ahead of us because he's been wearing the face mask for a long time. Yeah. So maybe he knew something we didn't.
Maybe. Awesome.
I'll have to ask him.
Send him my way too.
I will do. I'll send him a message.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll also be adding links to the show notes, so they don't really have to go searching for you. They can just go in the show notes, click, bam, there you are. So
awesome. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, thank you so much, Dave. I really appreciate this. I had a lot of fun. You're very knowledgeable, and it'll be out on Sunday, and but we'll talk about that after. So you take care. Thanks again.
Well, we've made it to the end of another episode. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, take care of each other. And if you'd like to be on the show or have questions and comments, just drop me an email, paranormalheart13@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you.
Paranormal Heart would like to extend a special thank you to purpleplanet.com for supplying the music for the show. The views and opinions expressed on Paranormal Heart are those of the host and participants.